All right, so we're going to talk about figuring out what works best for you when it comes to training. Again, if you listen to the introduction, there's lots of different ways to develop a program based on what your goals are and where you are in terms of age, time, current body composition, current abilities. There's a lot of things that can come up. So, the first thing I want to talk about is figuring out what works best for me because again, I'm going to kind of use myself as an example because I went through a lot of this stuff and went through a lot of the trial and error. So right now I'm 26. I sit at a desk, for a good 5 or 6 hours a day. Then I'm on my feet, coaching and personal training for about another 6 hours a day. That's kind of the way the days have gone where I found myself in roughly 12-hour workdays. So the I've run into some issues with mobility. A lot of it is hip mobility and ankle mobility. Some of the ankle stuff I've carried over from when I played basketball in high school and having tons and tons of ankle sprains. Like literally, I wouldn't go 4 weeks without spraining my ankle in a pickup game or in a game for school. So that's one of the things that I've had to work with. Also, again, sitting at a desk, one of the big things that you're going to deal with are the common tight pecs, poor T-spine mobility, tight hips, and also you're probably going to run into ankle mobility issues when it comes to like dorsiflexion, bringing your toes back up towards your knees, because a lot of people, if they have a chair that is either too high or they just like to put their feet behind them when they're sitting in a chair, they're always plantar flexing. So they're always, instead of having, it's going to be the best way to show you this, instead of plantar flexing where you're bringing that toe up, they're always pointing their toes down and kind of flexing their calves. That can be another big issue. So maybe I should break this up and talk about mobility first. Let's do that. Let's talk about building a mobility program, and then we'll talk about structuring your strength and conditioning program. So for your mobility and your warm-up program, there's going to be some staples that you're going to need. There's going to be your foam rolling, which is going to basically start off soft tissue work, warming up the tissue a little bit, and then there's going to be stretching, active warm-up, and mobility. The foam rolling, pretty much everyone is agreed upon this where when it comes to the big keys to foam rolling. Adductors, which usually are pretty crappy in most people, we tend to all be externally rotated at the hip quite a bit. So adductors are going to be a big one to hit on. Quads, lats are, again, you get someone on a foam rolling their lats for the first time, and they usually make a groaning sound or like someone is sticking a knife into my lat kind of sound. The other big one is going to be upper traps, making sure you're getting the foam roll in your upper back, hands behind your head, elbows together is my favorite way of doing it because you can also kind of get under the shoulder blades a little bit. Another way, cross your arms. Try that. Give that a shot. Let me know how it feels. Again, you can mix things up a little bit. Those are the really big ones. If you want to go a little bit more advanced, you're going to be getting something like it just happens to have that just happen to have a lacrosse ball right here. I keep one near me at all times. I keep one in my backpack. I keep one in my car, one in my gym bag, one in my locker. They're all over the place. Lacrosse balls are very versatile because you can get into the pec, you can get into the lat, you can even hit the adductors up a little bit without too much. Again, you kind of have to start off with a decent amount of buildup when it comes to soft tissue work. Otherwise, again, you're going to be really uncomfortable if you start going with lacrosse balls and with like PVC pipe. So I would always start with one of the black Perform Better foam rollers and also a tennis ball because they're going to be a little bit easier. They're not as dense, and you can have a little bit more room to play around with when it comes to being in immense pain, starting with your soft tissue work. And it really shouldn't be painful. If you're feeling any kind of sharp pain, you're pressing down too hard. There's too much pressure. There's a lot of cool tricks, and maybe I'll shoot a video later on how to kind of take the pressure off of whatever limb you're using for the soft tissue work. But again, lacrosse ball, calves and glutes is going to be the big one, and making sure when you are getting, like, pretend my palm is me sitting directly on the lacrosse ball. You don't want to just want you don't want to just get below your butt. You want to get the side, like glute med. Maybe you can hit piriformis a little bit. That's going to be your problem area. Again, like I said, talking about how we are so externally rotated, we really want to make sure we kind of loosen up those hip external rotators, so we can get back into a little bit more internal rotation. So there isn't such a deficit at the hip for hip internal and hip external rotation. For soft tissue work, that's about it. For stretching, I think Kelly Starrett has put up some amazing stuff for doing some band-assisted stretching. I would check out his website. It's mobilitywod.com. I'll throw in a link right there if I remember. And I would check out some of his stuff. Like his hamstring stretch with the band has been huge for me. Like that, attaching a band behind you, putting the band at kind of almost like right below your hip. So you're putting the band, through your leg. So if this is my hip, the band is actually pulling my leg backwards as I'm going forward. So the band's pulling that way, so I attach it to something behind me, and then I'm mobilizing, or I'm stretching my hamstrings, and you're even hitting, your calves. You're getting actually a little ankle mobility component in there too. So check out Kelly's website. Some great stuff on there. Also, another one of those great stretches is going to be the band lat stretch, which I look forward to it every day. It is one of those things that I really, tight lats when it comes to upper body work, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that when I get to the program for strength and conditioning. But that band lat stretch is huge. It makes me feel better automatically. I am so much more mobile after just getting in 30 seconds on each side with that band lat stretch. So that is great. Awesome stuff. The other static stretching stuff, what we do at Boyles, we actually run through a stretch series. So you can do a hip rotator stretch, a quad hip flexor stretch, an adductor stretch. And those are important. Like those are your big bang for your buck stretches when it comes to your lower body. Stretching out those adductors, like I talked about before, for a multitude of reasons. Quad hip flexor stretch, just bang for your buck. You can grab two things at once. And hip rotators, again, our glutes tend to be shut off and incredibly tight. So that's another one of the important things to hit on. So throw that into your, this is what I'm thinking about doing for my warm-up right now. That's your starting blocks. And then when you get into the dynamic warm-up or the active warm-up, that's where you're going to be moving. Some of the best places to check that kind of stuff out is we throw all of our active warm-up stuff up on Body by Boyle online. So if you want to check out all of our videos, we have them up there. Again, that's kind of a site that's more for people who are really into this stuff and are personal trainers or coaches. But I know a lot of other people get stuff out of that website with our exercise and our educational content. That's a plug. All right, I'm being honest. The other people, Eric Cressy, Mike Robertson, Bill Hartman, those three guys, when it comes to magnificent mobility, inside out, that's a lot of foam rolling stuff, but upper body stuff, and inside out, and what's the other one? Maybe inside out is what I am thinking of when it comes to the all-encompassing set. I would show you my DVDs, but they're all in a box. I just kind of moved a little bit recently, so I'm still kind of unpacking. Of course, I unpacked the games. Now, make sure I have my priorities straight, right? So those are the guys I would kind of check out for that stuff. But think butt kick pullbacks, single-legged deadlifts, overhead lunge walks, things where you're moving and mobilizing or stretching at the same time are going to be big. And you want to keep all this within 10 or 12 minutes. You shouldn't be spending that much time unless you really are having issues on this, because you want to make sure you give yourself a good amount of time to get in some lifting, maybe get in some conditioning as well. Another big one that I love in terms of mobility is the straight leg against the wall slides, where you slide up all the way against the wall. You straighten out your legs, make sure your toes are pointing up straight ahead. Can you tell I have my coaching hat on right now? Then you're going to keep your upper back, your butt, your head, your shoulders up against the wall, hand and elbow against the wall, and you're just going to slide up and down as far as you can before one of those things comes off, and then you got too high, then you're going to come back down. So that's another one of the great ones. Ankle mobility type stuff, again, a lot of that is really huge. Nick Tuminello has a great piriformis stretch. Like, this is a stretch that I've used for a long time, and I had some serious hip issues before I started really stretching that piriformis. It's also great if you can get some manual work done, getting in there, someone getting in with the elbow and mobilizing. But if you can't, look up like Nick Tuminello piriformis stretch in YouTube. I'll see if I can figure out how to put a link here. But that is awesome. Like, Nick did a great job coming up with that. The other couple things like reach, roll, and lift, scap push-ups, T-spine extension rotations, where I've really moved to liking those from doing just regular thoracic stuff on the foam roller, doing the active stuff that I think Sue Falsone showed me, or showed everyone at the Perform Better seminar when she came to Boyles. That was kind of her go-to T-spine mobility exercise. But you can't get enough T-spine moves. You can't get enough, pec stretching. You can't overdo it. But really, these are the things that we as a world need these days, because we're sitting a lot. Shoulders are forward. We're coming forward, and as you get older, it gets harder and harder to mobilize that stuff. So you really need to start now. Okay, I'm kind of running out of time. I thought I was going to make these a lot shorter, but that's what I would start out with for the active warm-up type stuff. Next video we'll talk a little bit about the med ball work, and we'll talk about starting to figure out how you're going to program for yourself. So stick around. Thanks for watching.